I caught my best friend's husband cheating and told her immediately. He convinced the whole friend group I was lying out of jealousy. I cut ties with all of them. I never thought I'd be writing this post, but here I am, still reeling from the events of the past few months. For context, I'm a 28-year-old woman, and until recently, I had a tight-knit group of friends I'd known since college. We were inseparable, the kind of friends who finish each other's sentences and know each other's deepest secrets. Or so I thought. The central figure in this story is my best friend, let's call her Sarah. We've been thick as thieves since freshman year. She was always the more outgoing one, the life of the party, while I was more reserved. But we balanced each other out perfectly. When she met Tom in our senior year, I was thrilled for her. He seemed like the perfect guy, charming, successful, and utterly devoted to Sarah. They got married 2 years ago in a beautiful ceremony where I was the maid of honor. I remember giving a speech about how they were the perfect couple, how their love inspired us all. God, the irony of those words haunts me now. Everything seemed perfect until about 3 months ago. I was at a business conference in a nearby city, staying at a swanky hotel paid for by my company. After a long day of seminars and networking, I decided to treat myself to a drink at the hotel bar. That's when I saw him. Tom. Sitting in a secluded corner booth, his arm around a woman who was definitely not Sarah. At first, I thought I must be mistaken. Maybe it was just someone who looked like Tom. But as I watched, I saw him lean in and kiss her passionately. My heart dropped to my stomach. I felt sick. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Part of me wanted to march over there and confront him, but I knew I needed evidence. With shaking hands, I took out my phone and discreetly snapped a few pictures. The lighting was dim, but you could clearly see it was Tom. I spent the rest of the night in turmoil, barely sleeping. How could he do this to Sarah? Should I tell her? Would she even believe me? By morning, I knew I had to say something. Sarah was my best friend and she deserved to know the truth. As soon as I got back to town, I asked Sarah to meet me for coffee. My hands were sweating as I sat across from her in the cafe. She must have sensed something was wrong because her smile faded as soon as she saw my face. Sarah, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, I need to tell you something, and it's not easy. I explained what I'd seen, showing her the pictures on my phone. I expected tears, anger, denial, any of the normal reactions to finding out your husband is cheating. What I didn't expect was the cold, hard look she gave me. Is this some kind of joke? She asked, her voice icy. I was taken aback. What? No, of course not. Sarah, I saw him with my own eyes. I would never lie about something like this. She stood up abruptly, nearly knocking over her untouched coffee. I can't believe you would do this. Are you really that jealous of my marriage that you'd make up such a horrible lie? Before I could respond, she stormed out of the cafe, leaving me sitting there in shock. I tried calling her, texting her, but she wouldn't respond. I was hurt and confused. Why wouldn't she believe me? The next day, I received a barrage of angry messages from our other friends. Apparently, Sarah and Tom had told everyone that I had tried to break up their marriage out of jealousy. They painted me as the bitter single friend, envious of their perfect relationship. I was floored. How had this happened? I tried to explain my side of the story, but no one would listen. They all took Sarah and Tom's side without question. Friends I'd known for years suddenly turned their backs on me, believing I was capable of such a cruel lie. The next few weeks were a nightmare. I was excluded from group gatherings, uninvited from parties, and generally treated like a pariah. Every time I tried to defend myself, it only seemed to make things worse. Tom had managed to spin the story so convincingly that everyone believed him without question. I couldn't understand how they could all be so blind. Didn't they know me? Didn't they realize I would never do something like this? The hurt and betrayal I felt were overwhelming. It all came to a head at a mutual friend's birthday party. I hadn't been invited, but I decided to show up anyway, determined to clear my name. As soon as I walked in, the room fell silent. Sarah and Tom were there, standing together, the picture of a perfect couple. "What are you doing here?" Sarah asked, her voice dripping with disdain. I took a deep breath. "I'm here to tell the truth," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "I know none of you believe me, but I swear on everything I hold dear that I saw Tom cheating. I would never lie about something like this. Sarah, you're my best friend. Why would I want to hurt you? Tom stepped forward, his face a mask of righteous indignation. Haven't you done enough damage? He said. Why can't you just admit you made a mistake and apologize? I looked around the room, at the faces of people I'd once considered my closest friends. All I saw was judgment and disbelief. At that moment, I realized that no matter what I said, they would never believe me. The truth didn't matter anymore. With tears in my eyes, I turned and walked out of the party. As I left, I heard Tom's voice behind me, good riddance. That was the last time I saw any of them. I made the difficult decision to cut ties with the entire friend group. It was painful, like amputating a part of myself, but I knew it was necessary for my own mental health and well-being. The months since then have been challenging. I've had to rebuild my social life from scratch, which isn't easy in your late 20s. There are days when I doubt myself, when I wonder if maybe I did imagine the whole thing. But then I remember the sickening feeling in my stomach when I saw Tom with that woman, and I know I did the right thing. I've learned some hard lessons through this experience. I've learned that sometimes, telling the truth comes at a great personal cost. I've learned that people can be quick to believe the worst about someone, even a close friend. And I've learned that real friends stand by you even when it's difficult, not just when it's convenient. Part of me still hopes that one day, the truth will come out. That Sarah will discover Tom's infidelity on her own and realize I was telling the truth all along. But I'm not holding my breath. I've had to accept that sometimes, there's no satisfying resolution, no moment of vindication. Sometimes, you just have to know in your heart that you did the right thing and move on. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, my advice is this: always tell the truth, even when it's hard. Even when it costs you. Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to live with yourself. And living with a lie is far more painful than losing fair-weather friends. I'm slowly rebuilding my life. I've joined some clubs, started volunteering, and even made a few new friends who seem to value honesty as much as I do. It's not the same as the bond I thought I had with my old friend group, but maybe that's okay. Maybe it's better to have a few true friends than a large group of people who would turn on you in an instant. As for Sarah and Tom, I hope they're happy. I really do. But a small part of me can't help but worry about Sarah. If Tom could lie so convincingly about this, what else might he be lying about? I hope she never has to find out the hard way. I still have the pictures on my phone. Sometimes I look at them and wonder if I should have handled things differently. Should I have confronted Tom directly? Should I have gathered more evidence before telling Sarah? But in the end, I know I did what I thought was right at the moment. And that's all any of us can do. So here I am, starting over at 28. It's not where I thought I'd be at this point in my life, but maybe it's where I need to be. I'm learning to trust myself again, to value my own judgment even when others doubt me. And in a way, that's the silver lining in this whole mess. To anyone who's stuck by a friend through thick and thin, who's told a difficult truth even when it cost them, I salute you. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because at the end of the day, integrity is all we really have. And to Sarah, if by some miracle you ever read this, I'm sorry for how things turned out. I hope one day you'll realize I was only trying to be a good friend. And if that day ever comes, I'll be here. Because that's what real friends do. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your kind words and support. It means more than you know. I've been reading through all the comments, there are so many, and I wanted to address a few common questions/comments. 1. Many of you have asked why I didn't confront Tom directly or gather more evidence before telling Sarah. Looking back, maybe I should have. But in the moment, all I could think about was how devastated I would be if I were in Sarah's shoes and my friends knew but didn't tell me. I acted on instinct, wanting to protect my friend. Was it the smartest move? Maybe not. But it was what felt right at the time. 2. Some have suggested that Tom and the other woman might have just been colleagues or that I misinterpreted what I saw. I want to be clear, what I saw was unambiguously romantic. They were cuddling in a dimly lit booth and kissing passionately. This wasn't a friendly peck on the cheek or a business dinner. 3. A few people have asked if I've considered reaching out to the other woman. Honestly, I hadn't even thought about that. I don't know who she is or how to contact her. And at this point, I'm not sure it would do any good. It would probably just stir up more drama. 4. To those suggesting I post the pictures online or send them to everyone in the friend group, I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't think that would help. It would likely just make me look vindictive and desperate. I've made my peace with the fact that they've chosen not to believe me. 5. Many of you have shared similar stories in the comments, and my heart goes out to all of you. It's both comforting and disheartening to know that so many others have been through similar experiences. To those of you still struggling with the aftermath of something like this, hang in there. It does get better. 6. Some have asked about my dating life and if this experience has made it hard for me to trust. Honestly, I've been focusing on myself and haven't really been dating. But yes, it has made me more cautious. I'm working on not letting this experience make me overly cynical. 7. To those asking if I've sought therapy, yes, I have. It's been incredibly helpful in processing everything that happened and learning to trust my own judgment again. If you're going through something similar, I highly recommend it. 8. A few comments have suggested that maybe Sarah knew about the affair and that's why she reacted the way she did. While that's possible, I honestly don't think that's the case. The look of shock and pain on her face when I first told her seemed very real. I think she genuinely believes I lied. 9. To the person who asked if I would do it all over again knowing how it would turn out, yes, I would. It was painful and I lost a lot, but I can sleep at night knowing I did what I believed was right. I couldn't have lived with myself if I had kept quiet. 10. Lastly, to those of you asking for updates, if anything significant happens, I'll be sure to post an update. But honestly, I'm trying to move forward with my life. Constantly thinking about this situation and hoping for some kind of resolution isn't healthy. I'm focusing on building new friendships and experiences. Thank you all again for your support and advice. This community has been incredibly kind and understanding, and it's helped restore some of my faith in people. To anyone going through something similar, stay strong, trust yourself, and know that there are good people out there who will believe in you and stand by you. You're not alone. Update, 6 months later. I didn't think I'd be posting an update, but something happened that I feel I need to share. Last week, I ran into Lisa, one of the friends from the old group, at a local coffee shop. I was nervous when I saw her, unsure of how to act or what to say. To my surprise, she approached me with tears in her eyes. "I owe you an apology," she said, her voice shaking. "You were telling the truth all along." It turns out that about a month ago, Sarah caught Tom in the act. He had brought another woman to their house, thinking Sarah was out of town for work. But Sarah's flight had been cancelled, and she came home to find them together. Lisa told me that Sarah was devastated, not just because of Tom's betrayal, but because she realized she had pushed away a true friend who had only been trying to help her. The friend group has fractured, with some people still believing Tom's lies and others feeling guilty for how they treated me. Sarah has apparently been trying to find a way to reach out to me, but she's been too ashamed and afraid of my reaction. Lisa asked if I would be willing to talk to Sarah. I'm conflicted. On one hand, I feel vindicated. The truth finally came out, just as I had hoped it would. But on the other hand, I'm still hurt. These people, who I thought were my closest friends, turned their backs on me so easily. Can I really just forgive and forget? I told Lisa I would think about it. And I have been thinking about it, almost non-stop since our encounter. Part of me wants to reconnect with Sarah, to be there for her during what must be an incredibly difficult time. We were best friends for so long, and despite everything, I still care about her. But another part of me is afraid. Afraid of being hurt again, afraid of opening old wounds, afraid of disrupting the new life I've built for myself over the past months. I haven't made a decision yet. I'm still processing everything. But I wanted to share this update because so many of you were supportive and offered advice when I first posted. If you've been in a similar situation, where you had the opportunity to reconnect with friends who had wronged you, what did you do? How did it turn out? Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you all again for your support throughout this journey. It's been a wild ride, and I'm not sure where it's going to end up. But I'm grateful to have had this community to turn to. Whatever happens, I know I'll be okay. Because I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. I'll update again if I decide to meet with Sarah or if anything else significant happens. Until then, take care of yourselves and cherish the true friends in your lives. They're rarer and more valuable than we often realize. Final update, 1 year later. It's been a year since my original post, and so much has changed. I thought I owed you all one final update. After much soul-searching and several sessions with my therapist, I decided to meet with Sarah. We met at a neutral location, a quiet park where we used to hang out in college. I won't lie, it was incredibly difficult at first. We both cried. Sarah apologized profusely, explaining that she had been in denial, unable to face the truth about Tom. She admitted that deep down, she had known something was off, but it was easier to believe I was lying than to accept that her marriage was a sham. It wasn't an instant fix. We didn't immediately go back to being best friends. But it was a start. We agreed to take things slow, to rebuild our friendship gradually if we could. Over the past year, we've been working on it. We've had long, honest conversations about trust, loyalty, and forgiveness. It hasn't always been easy, but it's been worth it. As for the rest of the friend group, things are complicated. Some have reached out to apologize, while others have maintained their distance. I've forgiven some and chosen to keep others at arm's length. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't always mean allowing people back into your life, sometimes it just means letting go of the anger for your own peace of mind. Tom, unsurprisingly, turned out to be a serial cheater. Sarah divorced him and has been rebuilding her life. She's in therapy too, working through the trauma of his betrayal and learning to trust again.